Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Join with your co-host Mo. How are you guys, people?
We hope that everyone in New York is surviving the apocalypse that is happening, and we are also sending our well wishes to everyone in Canada because of everything that's been happening.
Canada caused this.
Canada caused this, but think about it like this:
We got people, Canada.
If New York is this bad, imagine how it looks like in Canada from people, and it's caused by the wildfire. So I don't think that it's a man-made thing. So I'm sending my love to those who've been unfortunately affected by the wildfires. But anywho, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you are on YouTube or Facebook, be sure to like and subscribe. If you are listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform where you can stream your podcast, be sure to rate the show 5 stars as well as to subscribe. Once again, we are here because of you guys' support. We do want to send our condolences to the family of Iron Sheik. This past week, he passed away. I'm going to miss those F. Hulk Hogan tweets a lot. But
I actually saw someone on Twitter say that he doesn't run his own account, which made me really upset. If
that would be very disappointing. But much love to him and his family. We're sending obviously our love and our condolences to an icon in the industry. But we're not going to harp on that for too long, and we're going to get right into our first topic because I know this is going to tickle the fancy of my co-host. So earlier this week, Matt Hardy made a startling comparison of an AEW wrestler to a WWE Hall of Famer on his podcast, The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy said that Orange Cassidy is like The Undertaker. They're great wrestlers with outlandish characters. Matt went on to talk about how Tony Khan depends on Orange Cassidy the way that Vince depends on Taker. So I wanted to know, how did you feel about this comparison?
Anytime Matt Hardy does anything, I'm very much bothered. But I must ask, reading that headliner, is it crack? Or are you still recovering from that bump from 2019 when you got a concussion, bro? Because that was a very bold comparison. A very bold comparison. Out of everyone on that roster to have compared to The Undertaker. And I feel like in general, most people would be sensitive to an Undertaker comparison because they're completely different. Mm-hmm. The Undertaker was something that was created by Mark Calloway himself, but that was also Vince's literal creation.
Yep.
That he made. And similar to Cassidy, blurred the lines of, reality and, the fakeness. But The Undertaker himself became such a big character, such a grandiose character that I felt like he was just a staple in the business, to where the business was kind of built sort of around him and the other pillars at their respective times. And I just think that that's such a bold statement to compare Orange Cassidy to The Undertaker. The only thing that you could say that they have in common is that they have very odd gimmicks that work, but that you could have compared to anyone else. I had said in the chat, R-Truth to me is a parallel to Orange Cassidy, minus the fact that Orange Cassidy has an actual legitimate title reign that's not the 24/7 title. To me, he's a gimmick act, whereas The Undertaker has a gimmick act, but you take him as a very, very, very serious top competitor. And I don't even think Orange Cassidy, to me, is a top competitor. He is there in the mid card, maybe top of the mid cards, but I never looked at The Undertaker as top of the mid cards. Kind of weird to me. I would have named someone else like MJF or something, even though he's not an obtuse character. What obtuse character can you name? Is there anyone you could compare to The Undertaker? I want y'all to answer that. Is there anyone you would compare to The Undertaker that is in AEW? Because I don't think you really could name anybody. But Jordan, I want to hear your take on this god-awful comparison.
So I'll answer the first question that you issued in addition to the supporters answering it. I think the only person in AEW that can garner an Undertaker-esque comparison is probably Malachi Black, simply because of the mystique and it's dark and it's very, very eerie. Outside of that, I don't think that anything hits like The Undertaker because it's The Undertaker. Now, as it pertains
Yeah.
to this take, as far as Orange Cassidy and Taker, obviously, I think they're very, very two different gimmicks, which I
Hmm.
think is what makes the take very, very puzzling. Um, but like you said, like when Matt was like, well, Vince depends on Taker the way that Tony depends on Orange. But I feel like it's two very, very different scenarios. I feel like Vince depended on Taker to fill any kind of role or any kind of gap because he was a main eventer. Undertaker was and yeah, he was the main eventer in WWE. Like he has done big match after big match after big match. Um He's had great matches. He's had great storylines, and I feel like he is a solidified main eventer. Whereas, like you said, Orange Cassidy was very much kind of a mid card guy, and an international champion guy, and he's had some great matches. But I also think that the biggest difference for me between Undertaker and Orange Cassidy is something that we have yet to kind of, well, two things actually. Number one, the Undertaker was Vince McMahon's brainchild, right?
Yes.
Like you said, I think that Orange Cassidy was a gimmick that was in existence way before he even got into AEW, and I feel like
Was.
because one was created by the CEO of a wrestling promotion and the other one wasn't. I think is I think it's kind of shown in how both characters are treated because the Undertaker was treated with so much care.
Hmm.
His WrestleMania streak was treated with so much care, obviously
Hmm.
until Brock snapped the streak. And on top of that, I just also feel like the comparison, you know, while it may be justified or not, I feel like it's just very, very. It's too soon to make a comparison like that, considering how long Taker has been in the business for versus how long Orange Cassidy has been in the business for. But, you know, that's just like a couple that's just like my take on it. But I don't think that it's necessarily right or wrong. I think that we are looking at it from the standpoint of we as the audience have already had this very much established relationship with the Undertaker where we're kind of starting to learn to love or maybe learn to dislike Orange Cassidy. And because Orange Cassidy is newer in comparison to Taker, who has this phenomenal, legendary, one in a billion resume and body of work, I think it's just like, why are we putting Taker and Orange Cassidy in the same kind of sentence, if
It's
that makes sense?
insulting if you ask me. Um, I feel like maybe if you're trying to just maybe compare it in terms of treatment,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. But as I said in the group chat, I feel like the only person that treatment wise that they feel like they're like the son to the company. Like when I think of the Undertaker, right, when he means to WWE, like I imagine like what the hell would happen if you just pulled him out of reality? Like
Whew.
imagine like a whole other universe where he's not part of it. Like the company just wouldn't be what it is. WrestleMania wouldn't be what it is.
Very true.
I feel like if you're gonna make that direct comparison, choose someone that put the company on the map. That without them, yeah, the show wouldn't be what it is. And I'm probably gonna go with Jericho for that one, despite the fact that he's not homemade and he's obviously from, um, you know, WWE. Do you have someone that you would put in mind in that place?
As far as like the son of
Yeah,
AEW,
yeah,
um, I think the one son of AEW is like MJF. I think that
yeah.
I think that Darby was like someone who once again was established before AEW. Sammy kind of was established before AEW. I think Jungle Boy may be another one you consider a son of AEW, but I feel like obviously MJF is just clearly more successful, and he's kind of been the prominent guy since the inception of AEW.
That's
So
fair.
I think that if there was anyone that you would say is like the son of AEW, it's MJF. I mean, he's been mentored. He was mentored by one of the founding fathers in Cody Rhodes. So it's
There
like
you
he's
go.
literally kind of like AEW embodied, even though he likes to talk about the bidding war 2024. He's an AEW guy through and through, and he's the son of AEW. Um,
Interesting. All
that's my
right.
take on it. But we want to know how y'all feel about this take of Undertaker and Orange Cassidy. Is Matt Hardy right? Is he wrong? Whatever. Let us know in the comments. we're moving on because last week on WWE SmackDown, WWE celebrated the 1,000-day reign of Roman Reigns, and they introduced a brand new WWE Universal Undisputed Championship belt. It was gold. I have my opinions on it, but I wanted to know, what were your impressions? Well, we've had like discussions about the bloodline and the storyline, and like that's for a different day. But I just wanted to know your impressions on this belt, on this championship.
I'm like, I don't completely hate it, but I also am not in love with it. I'm not sure if it's like the shade of gold or the imitation of gold that it's supposed to be, but it like kind of has like a piss yellow tint, and it kind of makes the belt look like it's fake gold.
Mm,
So that's probably like my biggest ick. I don't mind that they changed the color, to be honest, because I do feel like when I look at the belts from 15 years ago or something compared to what we got now, I don't think the belts right now look like they're top of the line prestigious belt for such a profound company,
mm-hmm.
compared to like when I looked at maybe the belts from New Japan from a couple of years ago. Not the one right now. I'm talking about like the one from like I'm like 7 years ago. Like the big heavy one that was like 30 pounds.
Yeah, IWGP. Yeah.
Yeah, that one like looks so legit, and I just feel like WWE should go back to like very legit looking belts. I feel like the colors just look childish and funky, but I mean it's probably good for marketing in
Mm-hmm.
that sense. But that belt itself, I mean, I don't completely hate it. I just wish that they would adjust the color and maybe that they would put more like engravement into it, because I feel like what I love about Seth's belt, yeah, I know that's mirroring like the World Heavyweight Championship and all that stuff, but like I just love like the detailing because it really does like look like a work of art. I feel like the one that Roman's holding actually just kind of looks cheaper compared to Seth's.
Mm,
It's weird. I don't know. It just one looks very gimmicky, one looks very legit when
mm.
I look at their belts side by side. So that's just my take on it. But what do you think?
So there's a couple of points that I want to touch on with this particular belt design. I'm gonna bring it to. I had a conversation with one of my coaches at a gym, and we were talking about this particular belt, and we were talking about specifically the, even though he has nothing to do with this, well, he does have something to do with this championship reign. The impact of John Cena's WWE Championship spinner belt is still felt today, because I felt like the moment that that championship was introduced, there was another layer of holding a championship that wasn't had before. And like now, WWE championships feel like jewelry. It feels like a nice chain. It feels like a nice watch. It feels like a nice ring. Like when I look at the championship belts, it feels like something that's supposed to kind of adorn you as a
Mm.
character and as a person, rather than being like, I'm the champion of the world, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And so, because of that, when I see this, it kind of carries on that kind of reimagining of the WWE Championship that John Cena kind of introduced with the spinner belt, in the sense that it feels like jewelry. So that's my first point. Second point is, I think that this belt looks fantastic. And I think that the reason why is because of just obviously the design and the color. I felt like the way that the light was hitting it, I feel like because it was under the lights that it was under, which is like the lights were very like just white and plain, it didn't really give it like the vibrance. But if you put that belt under some warm light, like an orange light, it looks so good.
Let me look at this
And
damn belt again. I might
and
lose
so
you.
so there's that aspect of it. I feel like the belt, just the design, looks really, really good. I love just like the color, the size. I love the contrast. Funny part about the belt is that if you were to go into 2K, a lot of like the custom made mods of like new championship belts, like they literally made a belt that was created on 2K by like a bunch of users. So like they kind of like
Hmm.
listened directly to the fans and was like, okay, the fans actually want this type of belt. And now it kind of resembles each other. So there's that. The third is that it's cohesive with the storytelling of the bloodline and of Roman Reigns. Why? Because something that has been a common theme since Roman has had the belt is that everything he touches turns gold. We saw the gold boots, we've seen the gold glove, and now he has the gold belt. So everything that he's literally touching is turning to gold. And so the fact that they're kind of keeping the storyline alive with the addition of this belt, and now because of his reign and how prestigious it's been, and this is going to be the belt moving forward for a significant amount of time, now that belt is going to represent the fact that you conquered Roman Reigns, because you're taking something that is of him, of his character, and of his story, and you're carrying it on. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I just feel like now that you mentioned John Cena and how, he got his own custom belt, he made the spinner a
Yeah.
thing. You got MJF and AEW, he made a Burberry belt. Do you think it was just like very simple or just like, I don't know, a little lazy that all they did was just give Roman a gold belt? Because now that you mentioned John Cena and I think about what John Cena meant to the company, and I'm thinking about how long this bloodline storyline has went, I'm actually surprised he didn't get his own custom belt out of all this. That all they did was just adjust the color underneath him. Like, it, you can make two arguments for it. You can make two arguments that maybe he didn't need all like the goofy gimmicky stuff, and that, yeah, he is the first to change the belt to something that's gonna be like permanent like this. You know, based off of what you said, that
Yeah.
everything he touches turns to gold. But I don't know. I kind of wish there was a little bit more. I'm still looking at the side by side like with him and Seth, and Seth's belt just, again, it just looks, it looks like, it just looks like
Seth,
money to me. Because
Seth's belt looks like well, I feel like Seth's belt was obviously modeled after Big Gold, and I think that that's kind of widely regarded as one of the best looking belts that WWE has ever had. As far as like the custom belt for Roman, I don't think that it's bad that he didn't necessarily get a custom belt. I think that the reason why John Cena's custom belt worked for him is because it was in alignment with his character. This is '05. He was coming out with the chain gang chain that looked like the G Unit chain, the
yeah.
baggy shorts, the throwback jerseys. It was hip hop culture personified. And that belt signified hip hop culture personified. This new belt, I think it just represents prestige. I think it represents flash. I think it's also, while it's flashy, I think it's also conservative.
Yeah.
And I think that that represents Roman Reigns. When we talk about Roman Reigns, he's the tribal chief. He is this mob, godfather, mafia type of leader type of guy. And I feel like because the belt looks the way that it does, I think it's in alignment with his character. And I think that that's more important than anything. Like, could we have seen a nice big old R instead of a W? I mean, yeah. But I feel like that's not in alignment with the character. That's not who he is. When I see that gold belt, I think of Tribal Chief. I think of essentially the Godfather of WWE, the mass conqueror, the guy who makes everything more valuable that he's involved in. Like, when I look at the belt, I see that. And I think that because of that, they accomplished their goal kind of with that belt. So
I guess in my head I was expecting some like form of Samoan being just dribbled in, and not so much changing the W, but like maybe, I don't know, behind it, or maybe
like a
the
print.
belt or
Yeah.
something. So not the belt, the strap being like something that just shows, I guess, his lineage. Because I mean, again, like they take up a bulk of programming.
TV time. Yeah.
You would think that they would invest that into the belt, but it's not a terrible belt. Like, if I had to give it out of like a scale 1 through 10, I'm probably gonna give it like, I don't know, 7 for me.
I give it an 8. I give it an 8.5. I like
Okay.
it. I like it that much. But we want to know how y'all feel about the belt. Let us know in the comments below how y'all feel about this new WWE Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. But speaking of new champions and new championships, it's been a little bit under 2 weeks since WWE has crowned their inaugural World Heavyweight Champion in Seth Rollins. What are your impressions on his reign thus far? The impressions on the belt, the impressions of him, his reign. Let me know.
I already told you guys how I feel about that belt. I'm already obsessed with that belt. I didn't like it at first, but then seeing on Seth, it automatically just fit. It just fit him so well, and you do have to see it on to get the full, the full image. So he looks like $1,000,000 in it. No complaints about the belt whatsoever. But as far as Seth goes, I mean, he just gets better and better to me every single week, and I just love the fact that he's treated like he is important, that he is the threat, that he is top talent. I like the consistency with his character, but how he's kind of getting cocky with it. I love the little jab that he threw at what was Finn. He
Yeah.
threw a jab at recently. Such good shit. I just love him. I love him so much because you could kind of treat him like a baby face and a heel with his character. You don't have to make too many adjustments, so he could keep this character for a long time with that because he's comedic and likable, you know. But yeah, he's been doing great. I expect great matches, and that's what he especially did with his first title defense. I'm probably expecting for him to hold on to the belt for at least 6 months. What do you think?
I agree with you. The belt looks great on him. Over the past 2 weeks since he's won at Night of Champions, he's either opened the show or closed the show or both. And I think that those are the two most memorable moments of a show is the opening and the closing. And so the fact that he's heavily featured in both of those moments shows you that WWE Creative is fully behind him, that Triple H is fully behind him, and I'm very, very glad at that. Um, I think that the fact that he's been issuing this open challenge has already paid dividends, right? Like we see Damian Priest and that segment that Damian Priest, Finn, and Seth. And we saw how that segment went. And we saw that little look that Finn Balor shot at Damian Priest when Damian was like, I don't need Finn or Rhea or Dom to beat Seth Rollins. And you saw how Finn kind of looked at Damian. And it's just like, just the fact that there was a championship involved has already created a potential rift, and now there's another potential story there. That
Mm-hmm.
story now has a starting point, and it all goes back to the title. And then
Yep.
now on top of that, you have Finn who's probably going to go after that title, right? Probably for another show. We saw their little stare down at the end of Raw, and then on NXT we see Braun Breaker issuing a challenge to Seth for Seth to come down to NXT to put the world title on the line.
Hmm.
And so now we have some potential there. So I feel like the reign is already extremely valuable because it's already paying dividends. It's already putting guys in the main event spot because now people are looking at Damian Priest and they're like, I could see him breaking off from the Judgment Day. I could see him doing his own thing. And I feel like there was a point where Damian Priest needed the Judgment Day, but based on his performances and his growth as a performer over the past like 6 months to a year, I think Damian's the most likable person in the Judgment Day. I also believe that Damian now can kind of step out on his own because I feel like he's got what he needs to from the Judgment Day. And that world title match kind of highlighted his strengths and showed that he's ready to step out on his own and have like another breakout solo run. So, as far as Seth's championship reign, like my first impressions, I think it's great so far. I feel like as long as they keep featuring him and making the title and him feel important because he is that important, I feel like this is probably going to be a very, very eventful reign. But more importantly, it's going to establish a lot of new stories and it's going to be a great championship and something that's going to hold a lot of prestige. So that's my opinion on it. But we want to know how y'all feel about the World Heavyweight title reign so far, thus far. Let us know in the comments below. But speaking of WWE, it was announced this past week that WWE has announced a multi-year partnership with Twitch. As a part of the deal, WWE will debut a sidecast to WWE Raw. The weekly, and this is in their words, the weekly viewing experience will be led by a rotating cast of hosts and will regularly feature appearances by WWE superstars, unique and exclusive content such as backstage interviews, and more. So, I mean, earlier this year, we were talking about how like WWE wrestlers were able to go back on Twitch, have their own gaming accounts. But how do you feel about this particular deal and how Twitch is coming alongside the WWE product as is to kind of create something bigger?
I'm trying to understand this a little bit better. I'm sorry. So, like, what do you mean by a rotating cast of hosts will be
So like it'll
featured?
be like different people say it, maybe it'll be like a watch along. Like you go on Twitch and they're watching Raw. And it's like, say if like a host can be like Kayla Braxton, right? And then another week it's another person. But like instead of Kayla Braxton, it would be like a WWE superstar as opposed to Kayla Braxton.
It sounds like they're condensing everything that you otherwise would find on YouTube. Like, you know how, for example, they have like up, up, down, down with like the New Day,
Yeah.
or on another program they have what's that thing called? It's like something they do backstage where they do interview, but no one really watches it like that. It's like you have a few wrestlers back there with usually Kayla Braxton or some other interviewer. What was it? The bump? The
Yeah, the
bump?
bump.
It's like
that's like their month. It's like their daily like little show.
yeah, it's like a one-stop spot to have everything, which I think is fucking brilliant because you can make bank off of Twitch. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, wait for them to be progressive. I'm totally with it. I'm not sure if I'll actually tune in, but I'm pretty sure a lot of. I'm sorry, I don't use Twitch, but I
Right.
know a lot of younger people. Like that's their new demographic, not their their new demographic, their consistent demographic. Um, I think it's a smart way to keep up with them and grab their attention by making everything kind of like a one-stop thing.
I
So
agree.
I think it's smart. I like it. I'm with it.
I agree with you on that. I believe that them having Twitch kind of alongside their product, I think is very, very smart. And like you said, it kind of goes after this younger target demographic. Like WWE is always looking to expand. They're always looking to grow their audience. They're always trying to become bigger than what they already are.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've kind of maximized the grown folk demographic, right? It's time for them to start looking younger. And a way to go younger is to appear on platforms in which the young people are on, and Twitch is one of those platforms. Considering that they've done a lot of stuff on YouTube pertaining to backstage interviews, exclusive content, it was entertaining there. So I'm expecting it to be entertaining here as well. Like, so I'm actually very much looking forward to it. And it's a great way to utilize superstars who aren't on TV, right? Like, I feel like, and it's a great way to kind of have another piece that could be integrated into a storyline or integrated into something else pertaining to the product. But I feel like with this new medium and this new platform come new opportunities for superstars and other talent in WWE. And honestly, you really can't go wrong with that. So that's the Twitch and WWE thing. But we want to know how you guys feel about Twitch and WWE kind of coming alongside to kind of create more new content. But we're going to be moving on. So, according to some sources, it has been rumored that Bray Wyatt will be returning to WWE. Now, we've talked about Bray and like his happenings over the last 9 months. Him in the Pitch Black match, him being scrapped from WrestleMania plans. Do you think that a return for Bray Wyatt can help the WWE at this point in time?
I feel like he's kind of unneeded, and they kind of prove that he's unneeded, which is kind of messed up because I want to say this time last year I was super excited to hear anything about Bray. I'm not saying that he comes back, I won't care at all, and that he doesn't have anything to offer because I love how creative Bray Wyatt is. Um, but I just feel like it's been so inconsistent with the use of him that I don't think a lot of fans would be invested. Um, and it kind of sucks. Like he would have to really bring back something completely different. He might have to scrap the mythical stuff for a bit and then surprise us. Like it's fine if he just comes back as is, like the original Bray Wyatt. But I don't think anyone cares right now to see anything mythical out of him at this given point in time because this company just does not have good luck with it. Neither does Wyndham. So, I mean, if he comes back, cool. If he doesn't, I mean, I think we're doing great on both shows without his presence. That's how I feel. What do you think?
I think that, like you said, the stop and go and the inconsistency of his on-screen appearances have definitely thrown a wrench into his personal momentum. And I feel like at some point in time, you're just going to have to like move on, right? Like you can't just wait for people forever to get it together, whatever they're going through. It may not even be their fault, but it's just like, bro, we got a show to do. We got things to do. And the WWE has changed so much, even from the time that he was last on screen, right? Like, so I mean, I would be in like, I don't think that the WWE needs him. I think that the WWE can benefit from him, right? Like, obviously, there's his world championship on Raw. He could be integrated into that picture, right? But it's just like, now, how do you make that happen? Because he was on SmackDown. But see, if there was consistency in his character, there's a greater likelihood that there would be kind of a definitive answer as far as what brand he's on, what his motive is, what he wants to go after. But once again, that stop and go just makes things very, very difficult and very, very different. And if you look at just like WWE and the characters that are from Bray Wyatt's generation, it's like everybody's kind of leveled up. Everybody's kind of like moved up in their own particular way, whether it's Seth on Raw, whether it's Roman on SmackDown, whether it's the Four Horsewomen, whether, Charlotte, Bailey, even Mercedes and New Japan. You know what I mean? Like everybody is kind of leveled up in a way. And the reason why they've leveled up is because of their consistency. I think that Bray Wyatt is I think he's one of the most innovative minds in the history of pro wrestling. The stuff that we've seen him conceptualize is absolutely phenomenal. But if you don't have the consistency to execute it, or if you're not fleshing out your material as much as you possibly can, and you want to take breaks, that's only going to hurt you. And we see that now because Bray Wyatt this time last year, when we were talking about his return, we were bugging out. Remember, this time last year we were leading up to Extreme Rules. And that's and we were all buzzing about his return. And so now we're in a position where it's just like it's like, all right, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You don't want to get to that point. You know what I mean? So
But I have a weird idea. Well, what if the issue is that, all right, we don't care to see Bray Wyatt in a title picture. We don't really care to see him as an individual get over. What if he came back but he assisted? Like, you were talking about him, and then I just thought about NXT, and then Schism came to my mind. I was like, well, what if he just played a role, kind of leading a faction or just helping to get other people over by kind of being the glue to make it make more sense and less goofy.
that can work. But now the counterpart to that is Schism ready as a faction?
Oh God, no, not after that performance by Ava Rain the other day.
And that's what I was looking for. Because that's another piece, right? Bray, we're not denying Bray's talent and his ability to get people over and his ability to kind of help bring other people up. Because part of the reason why we know of guys like Brody Lee, rest his soul, Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman, is because of what even Alexa Bliss at one point is because of the creativity and the talent of Bray Wyatt. So we're not questioning that, but it's just like now, if we are going to put somebody next to him, he is going to put somebody over, are they ready? And that's another moving piece. But
does he fit? Is I guess the question in all of what's going on.
But I feel like that can only be solved by him being consistent. If he's consistently there, they'll find a way for him to be included. If he's not, then it makes it a little bit difficult. But we want to know how y'all feel. If Bray Wyatt returns, is this a needle-moving move for WWE? But we're going to move on. So, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about AEW Fight Forever, which comes out on June 29th. And I think Mo was saying something about the gameplay, and she hadn't seen anything about the gameplay. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We have come across some gameplay. All right? We've come across multiple pieces of gameplay. And I'm going to hold my opinion to myself for right now. But Mo, I want to hear your opinions on AEW Fight Forever, considering that we've seen gameplay now.
Oh, yeah. This game honestly looks so much fun, and I was surprised by it. And I think my issue is that I have gotten so used to seeing WWE games trying to behave more realistically that I forgot what it's like to just play just a fun wrestling game that's just it's not trying to be realistic. It's supposed to be goofy. It's supposed to be fun. Kind of like, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain or Shut Your Mouth. Or the earlier SmackDown versus Raws or My Favorite Day Reckoning. Like I love how the game's cartoonic. The first piece that I saw actually was when they showed it that you could have an intergender match, and they had Chris Statlander with Darby Allin, and right off rip in the video gameplay that I saw, they let you use the skateboard, like they let you like actually engage with the props.
Right.
And yeah, you're using it in a goofy way because you're doing the same 360 trick with it, but I thought that was fucking lit. Then in another video I saw, I think they were having like a fatal 4-way. Bro, I'm not sure if this company ever had bombs in AEW, maybe during a death match, but it was so random but awesome that you could take a bomb and break up a pin with that. Like, it's so stupid, but it's fun, and that's how wrestling games should be. It's something that obviously the kids are going to enjoy playing, and I think that people that were playing wrestling games, the old ones, since we were small, are definitely going to enjoy it. But I think it looks pretty cool so far. Another feature I thought was pretty dope was how you could interact with your own entrance. Like you
Yeah.
really could put your own pyro whenever you want your pyro, and when I see little things like that, I'm like, that's pretty awesome, because right now the game just has the roster as is. You can't create your own character like we're used to with SmackDown versus Raw or the other games. But like now it makes me like think that how are they going to go about that in the future? Like how much creativity are we going to have access to based
Mm.
off of just these things like that? So honestly, I think it's a pretty awesome game. I'm actually looking forward to buying it. Not sure about you, Jordan, but I want to hear your take.
I am so excited
Yeah.
about this game. It's just like you said, it looks fun, and I feel like obviously with not just WWE 2K, but really the entire 2K franchise, like NBA
Yeah.
included. I think that now as we're moving into kind of 2023, 2024, there's a big emphasis on the realism behind certain video games. And while that's valid, and I think that there's a place for that, I think that sometimes you forget that this is all about just having fun. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not supposed to make sense. It's just supposed to be just fun. And when I
Mm-hmm.
saw the whole like going for a pinfall and somebody throwing a bomb in there, like that's nuts, but it's so much fun. And I think that they're I mean, this is something that they've talked about since the beginning in the process, right? It's like we
Yeah.
want this to be a WWE No Mercy-esque game. We want you to be able to, we want something that's easy enough for anyone to pick up and play with, but something that is complex to where you want to like sit down and master it. This is gonna be a game that is about fun. I don't even think it's gonna be something that is gonna be compared to WWE 2K. I
Yeah.
don't know if you're into like sports games, but like when the PS2 and the Xbox was out, and they used to have like NBA Street and NFL Street, and they had NBA Ballers, which are just kind of like offshoot games, right? Like it was like playground, 1-on-1, 3-on-3, like super outrageous, outlandish conceptually based games. And it was just all of just about having fun. Like obviously, you're not gonna be able to do 3 somersaults and then catch a football between your leg. You can't do that in real life, but it's fun.
No.
It's not supposed to make sense.
Video
Sometimes it's gonna
games
be
are supposed
fun.
to be an escape from reality, and I think we've forgotten that.
That
Yeah.
that. And I think that AEW Fight Forever is going to be the NFL street or the NBA street of wrestling games, and it's going to be needed. I think that people are going to need this game, and we got a bunch of playable characters like Owen Hart's in it. That's great. Obviously, Cody is getting double the bag, double the fun because he's going to be in AEW Fight Forever as well as CM Punk
No
and a
one's
bunch
doing
of.
better. Is Brandy going to be in it?
I
Do they have
I
managers in it?
I don't know if they have managers in it, but I
Ooh.
don't. I don't know if Brandy's gonna be in it, but I hope as
Please,
long
can
as
they just put that one tip in her?
no,
Just
I don't
say,
want that promo
you
in
know,
there. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. I don't need it. I don't want it. I could do without it. But imagine you're about to play Brandy Rosie and you're just like, well, I'm a black. And it's just like, God, no. We were doing so well. We were doing
she
so
has no
well.
wrestling moves. That's pretty much a few of her
It's
functions.
just she's just gonna do the promo and then they're just gonna lay out and then you can go for a pinfall. But I want to know what everybody feels about these AEW Fight Forever gameplay tidbits. Let us know in the comments below. We're moving on to the last segment of the show. The show's kind of flown by. So we saw something online, right? And it was a top wrestling finishers move that was generated by Chat GPT. And if you don't know what Chat GPT is, it is an AI generated kind of thing. But yeah, they gave their top 10 WWE finishers of all time. And we're going to start from number 10. Number 10 is the Spear by Edge. Number 9 is the Sharpshooter by Bret Hart. Number 8 is the F5 by Brock Lesnar. Number 7 is the Attitude Adjustment by John Cena. Number 6 is the Pedigree by Triple H. Number 5 is the Sweet Chin Music by Shawn Michaels. Number 4 is the RKO by Randy Orton. Number 3 is the Rock Bottom by The Rock. Number 2 is the Tombstone Piledriver by The Undertaker. And number 1 is the Stone Cold Stunner. I think this is a great list. But I wanted to know your impressions on this top 10 list that was not even generated by a human being.
That part still has me floored. Like, I thought that WWE actually put something together that was supposed to be an agreement. Normally they put up these stupid lists, bro, because they're trying to start discourse. I know that they're trying to do that, but when I saw this, I really thought, okay, they just want to have a good day today. But no. But no, it was actually just computer generated. And like, when I'm looking at this list, I'm like, okay, well, if I looked at this list and you asked me this question 10 years ago, 5 years ago, present day, does this list make sense across the board? And it actually does.
It does.
Because when I was a kid, I probably did half of these moves. And
That's
if you,
fact.
for real, and if you probably ask like an 11-year-old or a 13-year-old to do the same thing, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they probably are going to put, well, I'm not sure if they're going to remember Shawn Michaels, but I know a lot of people are going to refer to, Stone Cold Stunner. They're going to refer to a Rock Bottom. I feel like this is pretty accurate. I don't even, the only other like wrestling move I would have thought you could have sneaked in somewhere is probably like Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb.
Mm.
But other than that, like, I can't complain about this list. It's so accurate. Like, I don't know. What do you think about it?
I actually 100% agree with this list. And I was just looking up Chat GPT. So Chat GPT, I just wanted to make sure I got it right. Chat GPT is an AI chat bot that uses natural language processing to create human-like conversational dialogue. My source for this is techtarget.com. But yeah, this is actually a great list when we're talking about
I
how
want a
known these
computer
moves.
generate a female list. Hold on. How do they word this question? Go on while you do that.
So like, I think that if we're talking about the prestige of a move, the effectiveness of the new move, the famous nature of a move, I think that this is really, really done well. Like, I have not seen a list that has been as accurate as this. So I'm pretty like satisfied on the list. There's nothing that I would move around. So I'm just like, this is actually pretty good. Now, you did have a question about female finishers that you
Yes,
wanted
but
to
I want to
ask.
see what this website's going to generate for me. So I actually put it in.
Ooh,
I'm already pissed.
What happened?
I'm already pissed. Oh hell no! Oh hell no!
What is Chat GPT's best women's?
I want to stuff my computer. All right, hold on. All right, so number one. Should I go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Bottom to top. Bottom to
To
top.
top.
10 to 1.
Okay. All right. Number 10, we got the chick kick. And they're citing Mickie James specifically, not Trish Stratus for this one. They said Mickie James' chick kick was a powerful roundhouse kick similar to Lita's move, Lita's move? All right, ChatGPT.
Keep going.
What she used to incapacitate her opponents. Okay. Number 9, yeah. Number 9. Twisted Bliss.
Oh yeah, I know why you mad now,
bruh. It gets worse actually. I'm not gonna explain what Alexa Bliss's move because you know what it is. They're putting descriptions after all this, right? Number 8, we got the Widow's Peak from Victoria.
Okay.
All right. Number 7, the Striker from Nikki Bella.
Come again?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Number 6, they go with Natural Selection from Charlotte Flair.
Okay. Now I need to know the last 5 because.
Oh my God. This lineup is going to. First of all, it's incorrect. It's very incorrect. But number 5, we got the bank statement, which it deserves to be somewhere on the list.
Okay, we got top 5.
Right. Then we got number 4. They keep calling the chick kick Lita's move.
Even though it's fully not her move.
It's definitely not.
100% not her move.
Absolutely the fuck not. How disrespectful to Lita. They already said she's like the redheaded stepchild, and they can't even get her move right on ChatGPT, bro. And it's cited twice wrong. That's the crazy part. She is 10-4. Number 3 is Charlotte Flair yet again. They got the figure 8 leg lock. Right?
Number 2.
The glam slam.
Okay,
like,
number 1.
Bruh. And of course, they gave number 1 to Trish. So Trish kind of low key got 3 sneaks. Yeah, the Stratisfaction is number 1.
I smell white supremacy.
It really is, bruh. I need to ask ChatGPT, are you racist? Because, bruh, they're like, what?
See, this is the reason why we need black people in tech, because we wouldn't have stuff like that. But we could shuffle that whole list around. I feel like everything except for Alexa Bliss's move is considered top 10. I just feel like the order is wrong.
No. Why is Nikki Bella in here? Like,
oh yeah, those two, the striker,
was insane.
That was nuts.
Nah. I have to make my own list because I don't agree with this shit.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start off the show next week with your top 10.
Absolutely, because this is
your
racist.
top 10 women's wrestling finishing moves.
Bro.
But we want to know if y'all agreed with that initial top 10 list of male finishers in WWE that was generated by ChatGPT. Let us know in the comments. But that concludes our show for today. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Once again, next week, Mo's going to be kicking off the show for top 10 women's wrestling finishers. And yeah, that concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.